In Harry Potter, a lot of people want to work for Dumbledore, and not just at Hogwarts either. I mean, there's the Order of the Phoenix, and every wizarding government that we see in the series seems to, at the very least, want to work with Dumbledore. I mean, heck, the biggest twist of the series is that even when Snape kills Dumbledore, he's doing it at Dumbledore's order. But what if I told you that Dobby was also working for Dumbledore?
Well, what?
Now, I'm not saying that Dobby is more loyal to anyone other than Harry in the series, but I feel like there are some questions that arise when we look at how he appears in the series and most of, if not all of his appearances. Which may also be why he doesn't appear in the movies between Chamber of Secrets and Deathly Hallows, but I think we all know the real reason for that, and it's money.
Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
But enough meta talk. Let's start with when we first meet Dobby. He has just heard Lucius Malfoy's plans to attack Hogwarts with the Riddle Diary and appears at Privet Drive because he wants to warn Harry while he's still at the Dursleys so that he doesn't go to Hogwarts and be killed by whatever Slytherin's monster is, which I'm sure he doesn't know, and I'm also pretty sure that Lucius Malfoy doesn't know what it is either. But how does Dobby get to Privet Drive? I mean, obviously he apparates, and wizard apparition is different from house elf apparition, but there's still the question of how does he know that Harry lives there? Because Sirius is also able to get pretty close to number 4 and would have been on his way there if Harry wasn't running away from home, so that must mean that one, either Harry's address is public knowledge, which no, it's not. Wizards would be found there every other week because they aren't subtle. The Dursleys would have to move every couple months because it would arouse too much suspicion. So the other option would be that Sirius and Dobby must have some other way to learn where Harry is. For Sirius, click on the card up here. You'll get an in-depth analysis from why he picked Peter as the Secret Keeper all the way up until his death as we try to figure out what his plans were. But for Dobby, let's try to think of this from his point of view. He knows something really bad is going to happen at Hogwarts and he wants to protect Harry, but what are the first steps in doing so? Well, he has to know where he is, and sure, he could go to the Ministry of Magic to try to get that information, but I don't think anybody at the Ministry is going to be very likely to help a house elf who is alone and working against their master's orders, because he'll be punishing himself as he does so, but that's not really the only option here. He could go to Hogwarts because if he knows Harry well enough to know that he's the hope for house elves, then he should know Dumbledore and would know Dumbledore well enough to be like, hey, he'd be somewhat likely to at least help a house elf, even if they are seemingly going against their master's orders. And even though Hogwarts is protected, I do still think that Dumbledore would be easier to find than Harry for Dobby because of the other house elves at Hogwarts. Now, I'm not suggesting that all house elves know each other, but Dobby at least knows Winky, so there must be some communication between the house elves, even if it's just their masters just bringing them along to kind of show off. I think he would be able to know where Hogwarts is, and in doing so would be able to find Dumbledore, who he would then tell about these bad things that are going to be happening at Hogwarts, punishing himself as he does so, as Dumbledore sees that, oh, he's heard something really bad and he wants to help, but his master doesn't want him to, so he tells him that he'll tell him where Harry is so that he can try to warn him as well, but that Dobby needs to keep telling him things also so that he can try to protect the school. And for those of you who don't think that Dumbledore would trust Dobby right away, first, he's a very skilled legilimens. He'd be able to tell if Dobby was lying and if he was just like pretending to punish himself for revealing a fake secret. And second, if he was willing to take information from Snape about what Voldemort was thinking and his reaction to the prophecy in the exchange for his undying loyalty when he's disgusted with Snape at this moment. He could not think less of him because he knows Snape is a Death Eater and he's watching Snape say, I don't care if James and Harry die, just protect Lily. And he's willing to work with Snape for the rest of his life after this, so why wouldn't he trust Dobby? And this is still a little sneaky from Dumbledore too, because he can't ever rule that out with him, because he knows that the Bond of Blood spell is protecting Harry at Privet Drive, so if Dobby is going there with the intent to hurt him, tough luck for Dobby then, because he can't hurt Harry at Privet Drive. Harry is untouchable there, so Dumbledore knows that if Dobby is telling the truth here, he can send him to Harry just so that Harry can be forewarned for whatever may be coming. So this is a situation where Dumbledore really can't lose, and it does build trust with Dobby too. There's only upside here. So he builds that trust with Dobby, and he'll come back to him again with more information. Not everything, because of the magic of house elves, that he can't reveal all the secrets, but something is better than nothing, you know? That's straight out of the Art of War. Dumbledore knows thy enemy and knows thyself. He is not going to lose. And we do see that Dumbledore building that trust works, because after Dobby is freed, he's unable to find work for a whole year, and then picks up a companion too in Winky, as they both have to try to find work. And who does Dobby go to when he needs to find work for not one but two house elves? Dumbledore.
Alas, earwax.
And Goblet of Fire is where we really start to get these little snippets that Dobby is more than just a regular house elf at Hogwarts, starting with when he's telling Harry, Ron, and Hermione how he got there and how much he's getting paid, and you know, obviously he talks Dumbledore down on the pay and the days off, but there is something interesting he says during that conversation. "But Dobby is not wanting to, Harry Potter," he said, talking normally again and shaking his head so that his ears flapped. "Dobby likes Professor Dumbledore very much, sir, and is proud to keep his secrets for him." Now, this could just be Dobby expressing his newfound loyalty to Dumbledore, but what secrets does he think he's keeping for him? Because it's not like he's gonna know Dumbledore's deepest, darkest secrets here. He doesn't know about Ariana, obviously, but hey, who knows? Maybe the two of them are looking to start their own fashion line and they're just trying to keep it on the down low right now.
I do love knitting patterns.
Or maybe Dumbledore is trying to get Harry all the protection he can right now and is inviting all the people and creatures he trusts the most to Hogwarts so that they can protect him. It's why Moody is there, or supposed to be anyway. It's why Sirius is there, and it's why Dobby is there too. You know, he's that third character who we see come to Hogwarts who we haven't heard from in a while, or in Moody's case, are being introduced to, but those are the three characters who Dumbledore is inviting to Hogwarts in this year, and we know the rule of threes applies in Harry Potter, and that's what those three have in common, that they are all there to protect Harry, and Dobby is keeping it a secret because Dumbledore doesn't want Harry to know just how involved he is in his life. And he does help Harry with the tournament, and protects him doing so, because he's the one who tells Harry about the gillyweed when he hears Moody and McGonagall talking about it in the teacher's lounge. But why is Dobby in the teacher's lounge? I mean, he could just be cleaning, but most house elves prefer to do their work unseen, and Moody's eye isn't exactly subtle. I think he would be able to know that Moody could see through things and would be able to see him working, and for as much as Dobby is an abnormal house elf wanting freedom, at the same time he is still a house elf. He doesn't want too much freedom or too many days off or making too much money. I don't think he would want to be seen doing his work either. No, this is another example of Dumbledore building loyalty with Dobby and frankly treating him as an equal, you know? Have him come to Hogwarts and say, hey, if you ever want to kick back, you can just go to the teacher's lounge. We'll talk about knitting patterns or something. Have a cup of tea. Oh, you haven't had tea? It's basically just hot brown water, but us Brits seem to like it for some reason.
You don't love it, it's pigeon sweat.
And then when Dobby doesn't want the tea, Dumbledore asks if he wants to have a drink with him, and of course Dobby says no, because nobody wants to have a drink with Dumbledore.
So, Saturday night, time to cut loose, right? Who wants to split a beer?
But back to Moody, McGonagall, and Dobby in the teacher's lounge. We learn from Barty Crouch Jr. that the purpose of this conversation was to plant the idea of gillyweed in Dobby's head so that he can protect him, you know, and of course Moody is there to protect Harry, and McGonagall would kind of just be checking in because she, of course, cares about Harry's safety too, and that's what Dobby is there for too. You know, that's that rule of three again. That's what the three of them would have in common. I mean, unless they want to start a band or something, you know, call themselves the Babbling, Bumbling Band of Baboons. Try saying that 5 times fast. And Dobby's protecting of Harry does continue into Order of the Phoenix. Obviously Dumbledore isn't talking to Harry this year, and he's already told him about the room of requirement, but hey, it sure helps to have Dobby around to say, hey, remember that room of requirement? This is how you can stand up to Umbridge, and you can do it in a safe way, and we know that's what Dumbledore wants. Again, though, I just want to emphasize that Dobby's loyalty is to Harry first and foremost, and that's why he spies on Malfoy for him a year later. Obviously Dumbledore isn't going to tell him that he knows what Malfoy is trying to do, and he does want to make sure that Dobby is loyal to Harry because Dumbledore knows he's dying and wants to have as many people and creatures that he trusts be able to be there for Harry when he's no longer able to. And we know that Dobby is loyal to Harry because the next time we see him in Deathly Hallows, it's at Malfoy Manor as he's trying to protect Harry again. And who sent him there? Aberforth, bar owner, goat lover, Dumbledore's brother. And that's part of the magic of house elves too. They want to stay with their families even after their original master dies. And of course Dobby still wants his freedom and Dumbledore would never own a slave, but at the same time, Dobby still has the instincts of a house elf, and he's been treated very well by Dumbledore the last few years. And it also explains how Aberforth gets the other piece of the two-way mirror, because in the canon we're told that he bought it off of Mundungus Fletcher, but at the same time, why would he buy a piece of glass from Dung? To me, it makes more sense that Dumbledore learns that Mundungus is stealing Sirius's items, and decides to go after him to get that one piece of the mirror because he knows Harry has the other one. And then he says to Dobby, hey, my far nobler brother knows how to use this. You two can protect Harry with it if you have it. So he gives it to Dobby, who gives it to Aberforth, and that's how Dobby ends up getting sent to Malfoy Manor to protect Harry, Ron, and Hermione. And this is Dumbledore trusting Dobby with another one of his secrets because nobody seems to know that Dumbledore has a brother, even in the Fantastic Beasts movies. And this is Dobby again wanting to serve a Dumbledore as he wants to protect Harry and wants to do it with a member of the family because that's the magic of house elves, that they serve a family. In some ways, it kind of makes Dobby like a phoenix, always serving a Dumbledore in need, though I can think of one pretty big difference between Dobby and a phoenix. You thought I was setting up a clip of Dobby's death, didn't you? Nope, too sad. But I usually do finish these things with a joke. Okay, got one. A rat, a snake, and a baby walk into a bar with two bartenders. One of the bartenders gets them their round of butterbeers, so the baby says,
Kill the stag!
hey, I'm only human. But now I want to shift the question to you guys. Do you believe that Dobby was working for Dumbledore the whole time? I mean, I love Dobby as a character, Exhibit A here, but I don't think that this ruins anything he does in the series. I think as a character, especially in Chamber of Secrets, he's just naive and wants to do good. He just has no idea how to do it, and that's where Dumbledore comes in. Then I think that he is still a free house elf, even if he works for Dumbledore. He's just choosing to work for Dumbledore rather than being forced to. But that's all I got for you guys today, so if you enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe if you want more like this, and I'll see you next time on STV.